Please remember to download both the Barnburner and ZingoTV apps from the respective iOS and Android app stores, as both apps are absolutely free. And while you download, please make sure to rate and leave a comment, as we want to hear from you folks. We really, really do. And also, Zingo TV is also available on Google Chromecast, Amazon Fire, and Fire TV sticks. Roku and Roku sticks also available on all smart TVs from 2016 forward. So once again, guys, we have a great panel. Some of Canada's best boxing talent of all time here on one show, the Knockout Show, which I've been loving this last few weeks here with you guys. It's been quite amazing. So let's move on to introduce you guys here on the show. We'll start with Mr. Joe Tilley down there. So he is a long-time iconic Canadian sports anchor and sports commentator. And of course, he's a former amateur boxer as well, by the way, folks. So please welcome Mr. Joe Tilley.
Thank you very much. Glad to be here, Noel. Thanks for having me, man. I love this show. It's so much fun. These guys are great.
No kidding, eh? It's been a lot of fun.
You're right. You can't get a better boxing panel than this. I'm telling you that right now.
Yeah.
Look at
those
pretty faces.
Agreed.
Oh, agreed. And the Crippler's joining us tonight. All right, Cody, good to see you, man. All right.
Very good.
All right.
Good. So moving on to our panel here. So he is a 10-time Canadian light flyweight boxing champion and 2-time Olympian. Oh my God. He also manages Hollywood Flying Sportswear. Please welcome the one, the only, Dominic Filani.
Hi, guys. Thanks for having me back on, Noel.
Welcome to the show again, sir.
Thank you.
Always a pleasure as well. And next, because it's a big panel here again today. So he won the light flyweight gold medal in the 1986 Commonwealth Games. He also reached quarterfinals in 1988 Olympic Games in Seoul, Korea. Please welcome the one, the only, Scotty Bulldog Olsen.
Woof woof.
Woohoo, Scotty. Welcome to the show again, sir.
Thank you very much, Noel. Appreciate that. Thanks for having me on.
Of course. Pleasure for us as well, sir. And next, he is an undefeated Canadian welterweight boxer with a record of 19-0-9 KOs. He's signed with Al Heyman's Premier Boxing Champions, PBC. He also just called out Adrian Bronner, by the way, which is pretty cool. We'll talk about that one later on as well on the show. But please welcome Cody, the Crippler, Crowley.
Thanks for having me on again, buddy. I appreciate it.
Yeah,
Should
absolutely.
be fun.
Thanks, man. Yeah, thank you, sir. Great to have you back on the show again. And moving on, this big panel this afternoon. He is the 1998 Commonwealth Games gold medalist, by the way, folks. 1999 Pan Am Games silver medalist, and also a finalist in the 2000 Olympic Games in Sydney, Australia. He's also a professional boxing referee, by the way. And watch out for his left hook, folks. Watch out for his left hook. Please welcome Mr. Mark Simmons.
Thanks, Noel. Good to be here.
Thank you. Thanks for coming back to the show again. Again, always a pleasure. Go around this panel. It's just a pleasure. And next, he is a former light heavyweight boxer who competed in the 1996 Olympic Games, and he also was the former professional boxer in the cruiserweight division with 28 bouts and 16 KOs. Please welcome also the one, the only, Troy, the Boss, Ross.
Woo!
Hello, sir.
Thanks, Noel. Happy to be here, buddy.
Thank you, man. Thanks for coming back on the show again. And again, a real pleasure. Real pleasure. And moving on again, he is a former CPBC Canadian heavyweight boxer champion, and he has a total of 19 bouts and 8 KOs. He's also an actor, by the way, and a fine actor, by the way, at that. Please welcome his home in Toronto, Mr. Big Ray, Raymond Bulway. Welcome, sir.
How you all doing?
Good to see you.
Hey, Ray. Good to see you, man.
Good to have you back on the show, Ray.
Thank you. Thank you kindly.
Looks like you're in the Bahamas or something like that over there.
Well, I'm working on it. You know, it's my staycation. You know.
Yeah.
I'm staying here, but I'm on vacation in my mind. That's all that matters.
But in your mind,
are you outside? Are you outside, Ray? Where are you?
I'm in my room.
Huh?
I'm in my room.
Oh, okay. Because it looks like you're in the sunshine, man. It looks really beautiful there. Yeah, that's why we think you're in the Bahamas or something.
Like I said, it's all in the mind, you know. Like the wicker back.
Yeah.
This shirt.
Yeah,
I don't know.
looks good.
No, I like
Threw
it.
me off. I like it.
You look so relaxed over there. Very cool.
Working at it. I'm an actor, you see.
Right on. So move on to our first question, guys, of last night's fight. I know it wasn't much of a fight last night, but I'm going to ask you guys anyway. So we had Terrence Crawford, who fought against Cal Brook last night in Las Vegas at the MGM Grand. What are your thoughts, gang? What are your thoughts? We'll start with Mark Simmons first.
Yeah, well, I think Crawford is. He said what I mean. He displayed why he's pound for pound #1 in the world. He was setting up that hook. You could see that in the third round. He landed it. I texted my buddy and I said, watch that right hook. It's kind of a half right hook jab. That's what landed on Brook, and is game over. So yeah, good fight.
I mean, you look really good. I thought you look great. It's kind of a slow start for him, but he looked really good overall.
Yeah, he started off orthodox and turned around, but yeah.
Yeah, exactly. What about you, Scotty? What were your thoughts about last night's fight with Cal Brook and?
I thought it was well, Terrence Crawford. He's just a great fighter. You know, he's great athlete. Some fighters are fighters. Now all you can do is sort of help them along as a fighter. But they'll never have a lot of athletic ability. But he has such athletic ability. Loves it in there and fighter.
Oh, agreed. What about you, Dominic? What were your thoughts about last night's fight?
I thought Bud looked really, really sharp. The layoff didn't seem to affect him whatsoever, and it was fun to watch because everything he said he was going to do, he did, and he was very, very effective in doing it. So it was a fight I really enjoyed. It's been a long time since I enjoyed a fight, and that was for the amount of it lasted. It was a pretty good fight. Yeah,
agreed. What about you, Troy, the boss? Ross, what are your thoughts, man?
Well, you know what? Terrence did exactly what he was supposed to do and what he planned on doing. He stepped in the ring. He stepped up his game. Like Mark said, he stepped in. He came in orthodox. Then he switched it up to southpaw. And that's one of the hardest things to do is to be able to come. He did it with ease. And he caught Cal Brooks with that short jab hook, and it was at the end of the day. That's all it was. It was like, threw him off guard, and then he jumped on him when he needed to. And the one thing about that kid is he's able to finish. He's a massive finisher, and he made sure he put him out. Took his time and put him out of the game.
Yeah, exactly right. The fourth round.
So it was a very good fight on his part.
Yeah, agreed. Well, you, Big Ray, what's your take?
I was thoroughly impressed. I actually have quite a bit to say about that fight simply because I watched it in mixed company. The people that I was around had never stepped in the ring. So it takes, especially because unfortunately, boxing has been hijacked, or was hijacked for 26 years by that nonsense called Ken Hayashi. The general public is not that educated as to what boxing is. So the first two rounds, when they were feeling each other out, I know what it's like to feel someone out.
Yeah.
The general public has absolutely no idea, and all they're seeing is, this is boring. And I'm like, sorry, it's not. If you knew what's actually happening, like the feints, the light touches, the jab to the solar plexus, or at least the attempt to jab solar plexus, all these things matter, Sure. And at the end of the day, again, the general public, this is another reason why I'm so glad to be involved on this show, on this panel, but on a number of projects that I'm working on, because the sport is not being showcased, and society is not being educated to what the sport is. Too much of society sees boxing today as just modern day gladiators, like two guys getting in there and just swinging for the fence, and whoever lives. I thought it was an incredible fight. I thought that I tip my hat to Kelly Brooks. He fought a competent fight. He fought a good fight. He just got caught.
Yeah.
I have a newfound respect for Terrence Crawford because he did catch him. He caught him with a hook jab. Now, anybody who sparred with me knows that that's one of the things I like to throw. I like to catch guys with. But what you didn't, or at least no one's mentioned, is the fact that he threw a hook jab and it's a hook jab that knocked him down.
Mm-hmm.
That's not an easy feat at all.
Correct.
I don't care if you're from Southpaw or not. That's not an easy feat. I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. And then he, finished him off. Yeah, he's a great finisher and all, but I was thoroughly impressed with the hook jab. And also, I learned a thing or two from the contest. It was all around, like, it was time well spent, to say the least.
I agree.
Yeah.
Actually, I agree with you with your comment too about educating the people, educating the general public about boxing more. I totally agree with you 100% because I have the same kind of concerns too, and same issues too when I go out and about. On the very same point, people don't really quite know or understand boxing. I think the way they should. I think, in my opinion, but
genuinely, they
totally
do not have they don't have an appreciation of the chess game.
Yeah.
Attempting to set, like, both guys were thinking 2, if not 3 punches ahead.
Correct.
Hence why you're doing the feeling out sort of scenario, trying to catch you with the feint, whatever the case may be, trying to set a guy up. But you know how hard it is to set somebody up who's trying to set you up at the same time?
Correct.
I do. But Joe Blow's public, it's just boring to them. So
you gotta get new friends, Ray. Get some new friends, boxing friends.
Yeah.
Right here. We're your friends.
Watch it with us, Ray. Come on.
Yeah, exactly, Ray. We'll watch it with you next time. Make for a better conversation for you.
You know what, too? Also, when Cal Brooks was coming in, and Crawford threw that that hook jab, Cal Brooks brought himself into it. It was like a locomotive going into a punch. That's why it landed so effectively.
Yeah, well put.
Yeah.
That was set up though by him going southpaw to being orthodox for the first couple of rounds.
Yeah.
I mean, I thought Brooks was doing a good job of picking him off in the first couple of rounds. Yeah. Crawford, I think he wanted to see how far he could go with the orthodox thing. To me, it looked like a guy who was experimenting in the ring because he could.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Terrence Crawford was the superior fighter, no question about it.
No question, yeah.
Even though Brooks won the first couple of rounds, he looked pretty good, but that's only because Crawford made him look good by fighting orthodox. As soon as he switched to southpaw, that's how he landed that deadly right hand, which it had a lot of pop in it. It just stung him like that. He didn't see it coming. Interesting though is I want to see what the crippler has to say about this, because this is potentially a guy that he could be seeing down the road.
That's correct. And by the way, he's actually asking a question here. Go ahead, Kraft.
I was going to say, I'm probably a bad person to have on a boxing panel because I don't really like to watch boxing. I'm not going to lie. I didn't watch the fights last night. I was busy having a great date night out with my wife, doing some yoga in the park and some meditation, and then eating some nice, having a nice vegan meal together at nighttime.
Okay, you're gonna make us all look bad, eh?
I didn't watch this fight. That's the one thing about living in Las Vegas and being surrounded by so many amazing, talented fighters on a daily basis is you see a majority of the best work you'll ever see in the boxing gym on a daily basis.
Yeah, well put.
So going to the fights, you actually a lot of times, the fights don't even turn out to be what they should be. The real fights are in the boxing gyms, in the sparring wars that are down here. So I get to see all the boxing every single day that I could ever imagine. And I learn from that. So the odd time, if I'm going to a fight, I will, but I've never been a fan of watching these fights on TV too much. So I might be a bad guy for this boxing panel.
Do you study your opponents though?
No.
You don't study your opponents?
No, because anytime I get it, I could be studying an opponent for 2 months before a fight and studying him as a southpaw. He likes to do this, likes to do that. Little did I know, he just got a brand new trainer, went through a life change, whatever, switched stances, went from a counter puncher to now a pressure fighter. You don't really know exactly what you're going to get until it's portrayed right in front of you. So I don't like to go into any fight truly studying and thinking that I have a picture made up of who this fighter is. Because even when you're watching a fight of a fighter, what he portrays in the ring, any of these fighters that are on here know, they might only get to see in that fight 1% of what that fighter is actually capable of. You know, he was only able to present what was there at that time, what opportunities were given to him. So I never like to judge anything or create too much of a picture off the fighter by studying them. That's why me and my coach, we never have any type of game plan going into a fight until after the first round. First round, my coach always gives me full access to whatever I want. We go in there with a clear lens. We're not trying to camouflage it with any predetermined perceptions of this fighter. We go in there with a clean slate, clean filter, and we take what's presented at us at that given time and then create a game plan in that minute time and move ahead. So that's pretty much how I like to do it on the fly.
So when you fight, or when you're prepping for a fight and you're looking for sparring partners, do you go with the southpaw and an orthodox? Do you go with a pressure fighter?
Everybody's got two hands. They all punch with both hands, right? So left hand, right-handed. I don't really find it too much difference, especially nowadays. You have all these fighters that are so naturally talented that they'll switch 3 or 4 times in a fight, you know? So even my last fight, you know, during COVID, I fought a right-hand fighter. I don't think I sparred a right-hand fighter before the fight, you know? I would get 4 rounds here, 5 rounds here, just with the pandemic and stuff going on. But still, it didn't bother me at all. Every fighter's got 2 hands. Punches are coming from the same direction. So as long as you know, I'm walking into this hook, I'm walking into this right hand. As long as you know the dangers, I feel confident enough in what I'm doing.
You know what, Terrence Crawford actually in the interview last night, if you listen to it, he said the same thing. He doesn't watch his opponent. He doesn't watch fight videos or anything. So, you know,
no. I got a funny story with Crawford. I made my pro debut on when he fought Gamboa, and him and my coach are real good friends. And I didn't know who he was at the time. Like, I've never seen him in person. And all of a sudden, I was walking to the workout area, and I had this guy jump on my back, like pretending to jump me. And because he see me walking with my coach. And so I almost got into a fight right there with him, thinking I was jumped by somebody. But it was just him messing around with me.
Wow.
That's pretty wild.
Who's your coach, Cody? That knows Crawford.
Ibn Kaysen.
Okay.
Okay.
So he's based in Vegas?
Yeah, he's from Baltimore. He's his brother's Hasim Rockman. So when he became champion and moved to Vegas, Ibn kind of followed along with him and studied all the coaches Hasim would train with, and just became dedicated to the game. And then he became a coach himself.
And you know, Scotty had a big history down in Vegas too, right? Because
That's right. That's right.
He's always headlining those top ranked cards and everything else.
Vegas was really special. A really special time in my life. I was kind of a big fish in Alberta, and then I go down to Top Rank, and that's who signed me and those guys. So I go into Top Rank and I start working out, and I it's pretty humbling. And then you become not a bigger fish. Like, I was the worst fighter in the gym.
I'm sure that's not true.
Yeah, really.
That's what
that way.
The first time I moved to Vegas, it was right after high school. I had a one-way ticket booked, and I had this mindset that I'm going to become this professional fighter, become this world champion, just like that, coming from Canada, where the resources are so limited, and even the training facilities are so limited, that I went down there and I didn't realize the level. Being in Canada, you might be a big fish up here, but these kids are being bred into the sport at like 4 or 5 years old. So the IQ of the fighters down here in the States is so much higher, the caliber, that the first time I came down here, I only lasted 6 months. I was on the phone with my mom every day, 18 years old, almost crying to her because I was getting my face punched in every day. I didn't know what the hell I was doing. And it took me 6 months of that, and then a year of being humbled and going back home and basically just living inside my garage and training my ass off and getting the mental capacity to be able to come in as the underdog and as the student, and knowing that 9 times out of 10, every sparring session I'm in, I'm going to be in there with either a world champion or a high level fighter, and I'm going to get the shorter end of the stick. You know, it took a long time to humble myself down to realizing I don't know much.
It's kind of like that in football down there too, isn't it? It's kind of like that in football down there.
Yeah.
When the guys who play high school football in Canada, and then some of them get drafted picked by college teams. They get scooped up by college teams. They got to learn the game all over again, because it's like it's a different type of game down there. It's so professionalized at the college level compared to what you have here in Canada. So if you're coming out of a Canadian university playing football, it's the same kind of thing. You got you definitely have a disadvantage. You got to work a hell of a lot harder than anybody else does just to reach the level that they're already at, right?
Yeah, you only know what you're shown, right? You become accustomed to that. I'm used to being around gyms in Ontario where, there might be one pro fighter, or if it's a really big gym, there might be 3 or 4 pro fighters, and that's the gym, and that being like the highest level in Canada. And then you come down here and you have fighters with whole families packed in the gym from like 9 in the morning till 9 at night. Like, what do you mean these people don't work? Well, no. They some way have funded a way to be in there and train their son all day long. It's just boxing is a way of life down here. It's not something that someone just goes and picks up and does for fun. So these people are literally they're being bred as this is a way out of the system. Everybody isn't blessed with parents who have money to put them in these crazy universities or let them live off their parents' money or get them a good job. But boxing, all you need is your 2 fists, and chances are you can get a punching bag and a pair of gloves pretty cheap. So anybody has the ability to make it out of whatever hole they came out of, through boxing. So I believe that that's why so many of these parents literally dedicate their lives just for their son to have a way out, because they never did.
Yeah, that's a good point. It's called the culture. That's a good point. Very good point. Well, let's move on to you just called out Adrian Bronner in your very creative video, by the way. I love the video.
Thank you.
Well done, sir. Well done. Well thought out. So what's the goods here on this story of this possible matchup between you and Bronner? Is there a story behind it all?
You know what? Actually, yeah, I've been since a lot of my career, for some reason, no matter who I get put in front of me, no one really gives me the credit, it seems, for you should have knocked this guy out. How did this guy go the distance with you? Blah, blah, blah. I just wasn't blessed to be a heavy puncher. I'm sorry that I'm not sleeping guys like people expect, because that's what they're basically craving for. So as soon as I moved to PBC, that was the move where I can get the caliber of fights I want. That's going to really pull some deep stuff out of me, and have to go into, positions where I've never been in before, situations where I don't know if I can get out of them. And my first fight with PBC, they kind of wanted to test the waters, and it was very, very easy for me. I went in there, did the same thing I always do. I show up in tremendous shape, and I'm just going to outwork somebody. You throw 100 punches around, I'm going to throw 200 around. It's simple math. And I have a granite chin that, so I'm not going anywhere. I'm going to be in your face the whole 12 rounds, like Rock and Sock'em Robots. And that first fight, I didn't really get that too much. I didn't have someone that was going to pull something out of me. So I've really been pushing with PBC for a big fight. And it was looking like worst case scenario, it was going to be a world title fight, or a pay-per-view star. And the guy that I was fighting a world title for isn't very well known. But if I have an opportunity to go after a pay-per-view star who everybody knows, there's a lot more credibility in that. And this is a sport of prize fighting, so there's a lot more money obviously involved. So I instantly, when I heard of that opportunity, I jumped on it. Me and me and my team, we went and put that video together at like 11 o'clock at the gym the other night, blasted out the next day. And as you know, Adrian Broner is in a position where he has to fight. He really has no option legally and financially wise. He has to fight. So it's a perfect opportunity. He's casted a couple people that he wants to fight that Showtime hasn't approved of. And luckily for me, Showtime thinks I'm exciting, and they've basically approved me and Broner for a January date. So right now, ABC's on it. They love it. Showtime's on it. They love it. The only thing is Adrian Broner has to step up to the plate. You know, I know he wants the easy fight. He's 190 pounds right now. So fight 8 weeks from now.
190
fight,
pounds.
but everything he's trying to present isn't eligible to be on a Showtime pay-per-view fight. So I think I'm his best bet for the way that he's thinking. You know, a kid in Canada who isn't sleeping guys. Okay, you have a padded, built-up record, if you want to say. You're a white boy from Canada. This should be easy, but I think the fact is he knows that he's physically not in shape to go 12 rounds with me. There's no way he can hurt me. And the way he fights now, he's shotgun shy. You know, the fight with Manny Pacquiao, I think he threw like 25 punches the whole fight. And
it's horrible output.
So delusional saying that he won the fight. So it's just I believe it's a great good guy versus bad guy. Type of fight. You know, you have a mouthpiece, and then you have a guy who's humble and just trying to literally work his way up the ladder.
Yeah, and works hard like you.
So we're almost there. I believe this week, hopefully we can finish up a deal and get things underway. So it's crazy how social media kind of helps out nowadays.
No kidding, eh? Really does.
Yeah.
But that's great. That's huge news. I mean, that can happen real soon. That's awesome news. I mean, your aggression and like your output is so much higher than a Bronner. So I mean, to me, it's a great fight for you, big time.
I believe so.
Dominic used to walk around at 192, get down to 106 pounds.
Really?
I was talking to somebody in the Broner camp, Thursday, I think it was, and talking about what's up next, what's going on, but they're trying to get Broner down to lightweight, and
that's what he was at one time. He was a lightweight at one time.
What weight did you fight at, Cody?
147.
147. So I heard they were trying to get him down to lightweight and for something in January. So that's what I heard.
Being realistic.
190.
Yeah, really.
190 is good. That's a big drop, man, to 130. Right?
No
I'm
kidding.
going to fight lightweight next.
It's bigger to 106. So, I mean, it's doable.
Hey, Ray, you're going to go down to lightweight, sir?
I think I'm going to go down to lightweight next.
That's right, to lightweight.
I'll meet you halfway for that one, Ray.
All right.
I want to see that fight, man. I want to see that fight. It sounds interesting.
Yeah.
No, congrats to Cody, though.
Hopefully it happens. I think it would be good for boxing in Canada.
Yeah,
I see
100%.
Because not a lot of people make it out of Canada in boxing. You know, a lot of people won't take those risks because unfortunately it is what it is. We don't have the resources in Canada to facilitate the type of fights that you need to become a superstar in the sport of boxing. So if we can't facilitate it, guys have to kind of man up and walk their own path. You know, you got to go in and try and chase out your own destiny. So I don't think a lot of fighters are willing to do that. So when a fighter does, people kind of look at them like, oh, they left the country. You know, they don't support them like a real Canadian fighter. But that's what we have to do to build back boxing in Canada, I believe. Yeah. And fights like this against Adrian Broner or against anybody, I think anytime a Canadian fighter is fighting on a national card against a world-class opponent, they should be getting that recognition, and everybody else should be putting those egos aside and supporting them. You know, we if we all love the sport of boxing, we all are brothers and we all need each other in order to grow it. So
we've had some great champions come out of Canada. So
Yeah.
we've got Troy right
Yeah.
here. We've got Scotty up
Oh.
there. We've got Steve Molitor that's been a world champion. We got John Pastel. We got Adonis Stevenson. So this is nothing new that you can come from Canada and become a champion. I mean, the Hilton
But
boys.
yeah.
Exactly.
We've had to Donnie Lalonde. I mean, we can go on and on and on. But listen, I think Ray made a really good point. Here in Ontario, we've been stifled for a long time. You know, we had a commission that made it impossible for the sport to grow. We just did for a long time. So now we got a situation where we got to start growing this thing up again. We got to grow in. We got to, you know, it's almost like starting from scratch, but it's starting to happen. You know, we got some good young Canadian fighters on the way up. I mean, you know, just to Cody's point, you know, Troy left the country, you know, right? Scotty left the country. Both you guys, you know, you had to go to where you go in order to become what you became. Lennox Lewis left the country, right? I mean, I was at Lennox Lewis's first pro fight after he wins the Olympic gold medal for Canada in 1988, right? At Superstars nightclub. They couldn't even fill Superstars nightclub in Mississauga for a guy who just won the Olympic heavyweight gold medal for Canada. I mean, that's how far boxing sunk. So then he goes to sign and signs with a promoter in England because he spent some time in his life in England, and so you know, he fights basically carrying the Union Jack flag, but at his heart all the way along, he's been Canadian. Let's face it, we all know that. But he did it because that's how you're going to make the money, right? That's how you're going to make your money. So that's you got to do what you got to do, but I think we can, you know, boxing's starting to make a comeback here in particularly Ontario. It's always been strong, Scotty. You know as well as I do. It's always been strong in Edmonton. It's always been strong in Montreal. It's just we got to build it back here. We got to build it back here in Ontario, and I think it's starting to happen. You know, because of COVID, obviously we've had to take a couple of steps back. But you know, when the smoke clears from this, I think what you're going to see is you're going to see a big charge coming here on Ontario, because boxing is getting pretty big in Ontario. There's a lot of quality gyms here. There's a lot of, and to speak again to Cody's point, you know, coming out of Peterborough, I know where you're coming from, right? I actually saw you fight in Peterborough. My son fought in the same card you fought on, but it's a different ballgame. There's some good strong gyms in Toronto. Pumping out some good talent, Toronto and Brampton, right? And there's other little spots here and there, right? The potential is there for boxing to grow by leaps and bounds, right? And we do need a good Canadian champion, but we also need good international champions. We need to build the game at the international level. It's exciting, you know, when you see Tyson Fury, you know, starting to generate the kind of interest he did. Like the two fights with Deontay Wilder that was a lot of fun, man. That was a lot of fun. Boxing fans love that stuff, right? The first fight when, you know, when Wilder almost knocked him out but didn't. Second fight when Fury knocked out Wilder when nobody saw that coming. It was just, you know, and then, you know, now you got what's going to happen would be Joshua and Wilder. I think you need some big stars in the sport. You need guys like Crawford. You need guys like Terrence Crawford. And I liked Aaron's interview after the fight last night when he talked about the fact that Crawford was like a throwback fighter. He was like a Hearns, or he was like a Leonard. He was like an elite welterweight that you know, it brings more attention to the sport. But that's going to happen. By the way, I've been dominating the conversation here. I want to see what you guys have to say. But speaking of, like, it's funny because we're working on a project, right? I'm working on a project with Amy Goldberg. She's a writer, producer in film and TV. Her brother Harris Goldberg, who was a producer director. Amy, by the way, is involved with, you know, Meatballs. Remember that movie, the Hangover franchise? Mandy Joanners is involved. Her brother Harris, he's a producer, director, writer. He's written. He wrote, you know, Deuce Bigalow, Male Gigolo. He was producer, director for Quick Draw, Alex, The List, Numb Love. Ben Guyatt has written a real nice pilot script. We're trying to put together a boxing show, right? For like a series, like for Netflix or one of the big series. And we got a really awesome pilot written, and we want to get this baby off the ground. And by the way, you guys, we're going to need spots. We're going to need cameos from all those good Canadian fighters, right? So
where else can you get them, right?
I want in because I want to be like my movie star friends over here, Mark and Troy.
Troy Troy and Mark have both been. We're both in Cinderella, man, right? We want to see.
Yeah,
we want to see you guys in there, but we want to get boxing off the ground here, and we're gonna do that. And I think this series is gonna do that. Once we are able to show this series to the world, I think it's a no-brainer. It's gonna be beautiful. Yeah, it's kind of like boxing meets field. Yeah, no, it's got some fictional / reality to it. It's kind of like boxing meets Field of Dreams. It's great. It's good. It's an awesome thing. So, so working on that, and you guys stay tuned for that because it's going to be a lot of fun. But in the meantime, Cody, Cussio, Clayton, we got a couple of good young Canadian welterweights here starting to make a name for themselves, right? I think the welterweight division is going to be the premier division over the next few years. Those are the guys to watch for, and Cody's right in the mix of that. So this is pretty exciting stuff for me as a boxing fan.
I feel like when people do leave the country and to chase that dream, you know, and become stars in the sport of boxing, what Canada needs is for those fighters to come back home and start facilitating big fights back at home. You know, it doesn't matter if a guy leaves Canada and he's winning world titles in different countries. You know, people in Canada that aren't involved in boxing, which is a big majority, you know, everyone in Canada is born with hockey skates basically on their feet. So boxing is the oddball out. Not a lot of people know, you know, they don't know. Canada, we made a good point. Canada has produced a tremendous amount of amazing talent, yet nobody really knows. But you know, look at guys in the UFC with 5-5 records. They're known as national celebrities. Everybody knows who they are, right?
That was it.
So I believe
but you know what, Cody? I'm going to stop you for 1 second. Unfortunately, we had a commissioner. Like, I mean, when I was coming up and when Ray was coming up, we had a commissioner that wouldn't allow us to fight certain people. Like, I mean, I won the contender title. I fought two Olympics. It's like I was too good for my own good to come in to fight a guy by the name of Ryan Henney. You know what I mean? For a Canadian title.
No, don't forget that. Don't forget
because
Ryan,
because you're amateur
was a Canadian champion.
Right, but you know what's crazy? Yeah, but listen, so Ray, Ken Hayashi would say to you, Troy, because you know you've got a professional record of say 2-0. But because you had the extensive amateur background, he wouldn't let you fight a pro who was 2-0. He would want you to fight a pro who's 7-1 because if you're an amateur experience, and that's not his bloody job. Is to be a matchmaker. His job is to sanction the bouts. It's your management team to set up the fights, and it's whoever you're fighting. It's their management team to set up the fight. Ken Hayashi should not have been the matchmaker, and that's what caused the problem for many years.
Ken Hayashi had a crystal ball.
So, I had to go back and travel all around the world to fight fights, and I didn't even get a chance to get known in Canada because of
it. It's unfair.
So no chance. And same thing with Lennox. Like I said, Lennox Lewis, Olympic heavyweight champion, had to freaking go to England to fight because Hayashi would have had him fighting guys 15-0 in his second pro fight. It was ridiculous.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? It's crazy, you know. And it was just a total misunderstanding of how the pro game worked. And it's just
it was the abuse of power.
Set Ontario back for so long. But again, I want to reiterate the fact that, like Scotty, speak to this, right? Boxing's pretty well alive and well in Edmonton, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yeah, you know, we have a couple fighters here, but you know, when I wanted to turn pro, I wasn't like an Olympic medalist. I came in probably 5th or something like that there, and then I won Commonwealth Games thing so I got that gold medal. But you know, we tried to form a corporate syndicate. You know, a few different companies that would support me and help me, so that I didn't have to fight for like $100 a round here in Edmonton. And anyway, so they all turned me down. Nobody foresaw that I would be a good fighter, I guess, and then that's when I drove down to Vegas. I said, well, and they turned me down too, but I went back in the next day, and then they felt sorry for me. I drove all the way down and didn't make it.
But you're always persistent, buddy. You're always persistent.
No kidding, yeah.
Nobody stops the bulldog. I'm telling you that.
He's the bulldog.
But you know, And then all my fights were televised on ESPN. So I have 5, 6, 7 fights televised. And then all of a sudden, oh, they want now Edmonton wants to have me back. And I'm thinking, and I did fight back here, and I did try to bring some entertainment back, but it was I felt, there was probably a word for it, but what you feel, I had some animosity. There's a little bit of resentment.
Unappreciated, right? Unappreciated.
Yeah, that's well
Right.
put.
Yeah.
I think it just comes down to a lack of people working together, but not because they're not trying. Like you guys said, there was an obstacle in the way. You had someone who wasn't letting it happen.
Yeah.
But Canada, luckily, as you see, even with Toronto Maple Leafs, when they don't win the Stanley Cup too often, but how many people drive hours and hours away just to go to a hockey game and fill up that arena time and time again?
So
Look
true.
at after Toronto, that won, the Raptors won, shutting down streets. Canada does support. They have people that will get behind and support their fellow Canadians. That's just what we are. We're nice to everybody. We support everybody, but we just need that horse to ride behind, which we've had the horses, but we didn't have the proper structure behind it.
Yeah.
Right.
And I think
So that's what I'm saying. We got to start that again, because there was a time when George Chavallo fought in front of full houses in Maple Leaf Gardens. There was a time, when Sean O'Sullivan coming out of the Olympics was able to fill the house, right? They filled the Coliseum, an exhibition place, right? There was a time when we had that. We had the commission killed boxing in Ontario for a significant period of time, and now it's starting to come back. And I think that I think the future looks bright. I mean, if I was investing in boxing in Ontario, I think that would be a good investment.
Yeah.
You know what, Joe? I've always liked the fact of the way Montreal has it set up. They have a good system set up, and I think that's way we should actually follow. And I've always said it for years that
100%.
Montreal has a good thing going where they use the casinos and they put on the fights, or else they use the Bell Center to put on all the fights.
They did the same thing.
The guys that are on the team, they're getting driven around, and a bus has all their pitches and faces on.
Yes, exactly.
So it's like they're promoting the sport of boxing. In Ontario is where we're shy of that we're not doing that.
Yeah.
Like, there's one company that puts on fights every 6 months. So we don't have enough promoters that need to jump on the page and get on the boxing thing.
But Troy, remember that you have the guys, the promoters over here, the big name promoters. Mind you, if you go back and look at Orion Sport, they put on a top shelf show up at Casino Rama. They were using Steve Mulder and myself to push those shows for a while.
Yeah.
Very much reminiscent to that of what I saw in Quebec. Quebec really does have a great business model for what boxing is. I was in training camp with the late Patrice Leroux, and Patrice was a Canadian champ at the time. He's getting ready to fight David Cadieux. We had a van in their pictures, their faces were on the van, just driving around, driving around doing local things, running errands. That's constant promotion. Why can't United do this?
Well, can I just?
They don't even have.
I just want to say,
Mark.
First of all, Quebec has a very good thing with the media, French versus English, right? So the English-French media, it works well. They put a French fighter up against an English fighter.
Yeah,
that works
rivalry.
well. But in this day and age, there's the capability of self-promotion through social media, and that's huge. And when you look, I'll just make a point right here. Cody Crawley, he lives in Las Vegas. He packs Peterborough Arena. He doesn't live in Peterborough, but he packs that. So that is via self-promotion, and it's part of the fighter's responsibility in this day and age to promote himself. So this is what fighters in Ontario need to do more of, because the reality is, some of these outfits that the promoters out there, people aren't going to sit in the stands unless the fighters themselves promote themselves. That's just the reality today in every business sector today.
Mark is 100% right. With all the marketing that you can do nowadays, There is no reason. Back in the days when the amateurs in the 80s and 90s, the amateur game, guys were household names. Sean O'Sullivan, Willie DeWitt, Scotty Olson, Troy Roth. Everybody, we were on TV every second weekend on Sports Weekend, or they were filming the Canada Cup. Joe Tilley was
Canada Cup. I
commentating
did
that.
the broadcasting,
So,
and then
these were bringing the name and the faces and everything alive. That was back in the day without social media. Now with social media, you can really up the game, and a lot of people are dropping the ball, and that's what's killing.
And you don't have to attract the boxing fan. You just need to attract the average fan.
Yeah,
That
Mark.
boxing.
Mark.
Yeah.
When average
The
fan
diff-
out to the stadium.
Mark, I've always struggled with this concept that the athlete has to go out and sell the show. At the end of the day, I'm going to throw a house party. I'm going to invite you guys. Why would I invite you who don't like? Anyways, I digress. I would go off and invite you guys to my house party, but under the condition that you bring X amount of people. That doesn't sound too realistic. This is exactly what the promoters here are doing. Yep. They're going off and telling the fighter, you have to go off and sell X amount of tickets. I'm training.
Tables,
I have to, why am I? Okay, now when I was in Germany, actually Germany and Montreal, the two scenarios that I thought worked best, which doesn't really cost a whole lot, is you have a promotional company who has a publicist. The publicist is the one who goes off and does the door knocking and does the social media and does for the individual athletes. The individual athletes have a job, and your job is to be a fighter. Get ready to fight. You wouldn't have.
The reality is you got to promote yourself today.
Yeah, I mean, it's a chicken or the egg thing too, right? So because there was a long period of time where boxing didn't get a lot of support from the local media. There was little, there's certain guys, there was Steve Buffer, and sometimes Steve Brunt would write a little thing, or but there are little pockets of guys here, but you wouldn't get the support that you generally needed. But also there weren't a lot of shows, right? So because the commission made it so difficult to put a show on. I mean, even at Casino Rama, there were shows that were big fights that were promoted that were canceled at the last minute because for whatever reason, there was a situation that the commissioner wasn't happy with, whatever. And it was really hard to put that, but that was a really nice situation. Now, if you had a really good one, commissioner was really interested in building the sport, working with Casino Rama or a casino like that. Like there's going to be a new casino in Pickering, right? If they could get on the boxing bandwagon, that would be sensational. Or Woodbine is. I know that there's been some talk about getting something going in Woodbine. Of course, COVID put a dent in those plans. But if we can get something going, a consistent thing where people. When we know there's going to be fights, and even in the beginning, when like at Casino Rama, like a lot of people there were the gamblers that Casino would cater to, right? They're gambling. They're a group of gamblers that they're consistently come out to Rama. They might give them tickets or whatever it is, but they get good crowds for that. And then plus the fights were also on TSN, but they had to be paid for. Like there was a cost to that. So. Once you get something rolling, like a little closer to Toronto, so like it was a big ticket for TSN to take the truck out there, to Pickering would be much easier, something along those lines. I could see this working, and then have a consistent like fight night, Friday night, every Friday night at Pickering Casino, boom, and or Woodbine, whatever. Like every Friday night, get the fans out there. They're already out there for the casino. They're give them to come to the. Get them to come to the fights, and then now you're televising this thing, and it's becoming a bit of a big thing. You can grow it. I think you can, just like they do in Montreal. I think you can do this here.
I agree. Like that was something I often said to people. How in 2006, the province of Quebec had 50 shows, professional shows over the course of the calendar year, held by 6 different promoters. Those 6, Group Yvon Michel. Held 33 shows. So that's that's over 2 a month.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Here in that same 2006, we had 3 shows
Yeah. All together.
because of Ken Hayashi, because he made
Right.
the environment so distasteful for everybody.
And there's a show coming up next month in Rimouski, I noticed the other day. And there's a show in, here and there. There's a show in Montreal, Rimouski, Verdun. There's shows all over the place, right? They have them all over different spots in Quebec, and they just keep it cranking out. And the sports in good shape in Montreal. The sports in good shape. There's a lot of boxing fans out there. When there's a good fight and things are happening, the fight fans come out of the woodwork.
Yeah. No, agreed. That's pretty good, guys. Good little conversation there. That's pretty good stuff there. So that's kind of got our plans on how to jumpstart boxing in Ontario, right there. Open casinos in Pickering right away. No, that's pretty good stuff. I mean, also look at Cody Crowley. I mean, Cody Crowley to me, he's like a one-man show. Like Cody, you've done so much stuff on your own, selling tickets, training, and so forth. I mean,
all from another country too, which is very, very difficult.
Nope, you lost your volume there.
Lost your mic, Cody.
Yeah, I lost your mic there, man.
It's not on.
Oh, there we go.
No, it's on now. You got it out. You got it back.
Yeah, I was saying it's a lot of work from from a different country promoting a show and packing the arena to do it.
Yeah.
Selling tickets is one thing, but matching fights, buying tickets, blood work, MRIs, promotion, graphic designs, on top of my own training 2 or 3 times a day. Super, super hectic. But one of the main components that I think Canada needs in order to produce these larger shows is having a full team. And that full team includes also the proper networks that are going to cooperate with the promoters in getting this content out there.
Yeah.
I propose so many different packages to the networks in Canada, and they wouldn't even support someone from their own country who was doing things and proving that he was doing things, that I had to go to the States and do a deal with Dana White and bring a US network to Canada to get the content out. And that just doesn't even make sense.
Well, that's a pathetic situation in itself. What happens with the Canadian networks now? We're in a new world now, right? You look at DAZN and you look at these other companies, and Showtime is not. They're not these guys have a boxing package. All we need to do is put together a boxing company in Canada that does nothing but show fights, and just start that up and just start selling fights pay-per-view. And you're golden, right?
Yeah.
That's what we need to do here.
Exactly. Let's do it, guys.
Let's
I got $10
right here. It's like
I got $10
because if the Canadian networks don't want to jump on board, we start our own, man, and just go for it.
Yeah.
Well, that's exactly what we'll have to do to lift up the sport, because I can tell you so many stories, and I'm sure Ray can tell you as many stories as me and Mark, and just keep on going, because there's one point where Yvonne Michelle wanted to do a big fight here with John Pascal, as also myself on the headliner. And Ken actually said he can't do the show because he's going on vacation at that time.
What?
Oh man!
Isn't that typical? I'm not surprised at all. Yeah.
Yeah.
What does that tell you, eh?
Well, hey guys, we're actually out of time already, but great conversation, guys. Great conversation once again. We solved the problem there. We got to get together now as a group and make this happen together. I think that's
right.
I think it's pretty clear to see that everyone here, especially on this chat, everyone loves boxing and is so passionate about it, and we're all rooting for the same people. Canada, boxing in Canada. Right. So realistically, I think that we just need to work together. And stop trying to.
I think that's all about supporting Canadian athletes. Canadian boxing is what we're all about. So we definitely need to support each other. And I hope that you get the fight with Broner, because that'll definitely bring it to the forefront once again.
Absolutely.
The last fight that we had at the Air Center was with Adonis Stevens.
Yeah. Sorry, we're short time now. But yeah, Cody, that's huge with the news with you and Bronner. So see this happen in January. So this is really cool.
January 16th, a voice has told me. January 16th is I have it at a very good source.
Very
Does that
cool.
sound about
Yes,
right,
sir.
Cody?
Yes, sir.
Well, hey guys,
Yeah.
thanks again for the show. It was a real pleasure.
All right.
You guys back to
Very
show
good.
as soon as possible. Because it was always a pleasure. You guys are always fantastic. Great, great, great. Thanks, Cody. Thanks, Joe. Thanks, Raymond. Thanks, Troy. Thanks, Dominic. Thanks, Scotty. And thanks, Mark. We'll see you guys real soon. And
Thanks, Noel.
Barnburner. Yeah, thank you guys. Thank you.
Yes. Thanks.
For all the news. Barnburner, watch it, hear it, read it, download it, and live it. Thanks, everybody.
Cheers.
See you soon. Thank you.
All right.
Take care, guys.
Take care, guys.
All right, guys. Good seeing y'all, man. We'll see you soon.
Real soon.
Cheers.
All right,
Cheers.
see ya.
Good to see you, Joey.
Good to see you, man.